Welcome everyone. You're listening to, perhaps watching, Not Sauce for Work on the Hot Sauce Sports Network. I am joined by my co-host Terry Tam. We got a great show today. We have an interview with Marc-Olivier, former Alouette, current Alouette broadcaster.
Always love having Marco, man. He's probably one of the funniest, the most natural. The one that makes me laugh. One of the guys that makes me laugh the most in the world, I think. Yeah, like it's just the way his cadence, the way he speaks, the sarcasm. He's a little edgy sometimes, but you know he gets the joke. He gets puns.
For sure.
I have a question for Peeze before we start this show.
Yeah.
What are you wearing?
So my wife was. I'm colorblind. My wife was not around this morning to help me get dressed. I thought the shirt was a dark gray stripe, and I will say this, Eo, you can admit this though, that it looks different in person compared to what it looks like on camera.
I've tried to adjust this camera to make it as clear as possible, like reduce the brightness and pick up the color and everything. But yeah, it's very much white on white in a lot of ways, especially with this lighting.
It's not. So the shirt actually is a purple stripe. I thought it was a dark gray stripe. It was supposed to be like a dark gray shirt and then a light gray jacket, you know, that whole thing.
Like, this is what I can do to kind of like make it a little bit better, but it doesn't get much better, right?
No.
Like this is what it normally is, so clearly not.
Yeah.
I'm not going to make you a ghost.
Yeah.
But,
Thank you for not making me a ghost.
Yeah.
It's appreciated.
So I'm trying here. I'm trying.
Yeah. I look like
right there.
I look like a televangelist. So I can save your soul. I can save your soul, Terry, if that's what you were worried about. Know that you can confide in me. Just send me a check, and I will free you of your demons.
But the check has to come first before he frees
Yeah,
you.
obviously, yes. I can't free demons for free. They won't let me. Demons are very grounded in the real world. They need money.
I don't think anybody can save my soul. I think my soul's gone for eternity.
What about Jewel? Can she save your soul?
If there's one person, it would have to be Jewel. I mean, she talked about it a long time ago. So, like, you know,
you figured it would have come through by now, though, right?
There's precedent there, you
know. So great show for today. For those who have already subscribed, those who have already followed us, those who watch, please continue to do so. For those who haven't, please do that, because that's how we keep the show on the air. We do that through advertising, and of course, the more people subscribe, the more people watch. The easier it is for us to get this show to you guys for free. Otherwise, we're gonna have to resort to robbery, and we already have members of our team that are pro robbery, so we don't want to resort to that. I
mean, listen, if you don't want to be robbed by the guys that are pro robbery, because they just don't care.
Yeah, they don't see an issue with it. With it.
It's like just part of life, you know.
So Terry, you're wearing your Pacers hat. You're a Pacers fan. As we know, we've discussed this on that. So I'm going to take it to assume you've seen the Malice at the Palace documentary on Netflix.
I had a chance to watch it. I was a bit late to the party. A lot of people watched it before I did, but I kind of wanted the dust to settle first in order for me to watch it. Perfect timing. Waited for my girlfriend to go to bed. Actually passed out on the couch. I was like, I snagged the remote quietly, went straight to Netflix, and it was there on my profile as if it was sent to me from the basketball gods of Indiana. We're talking
Terry, this isn't
Bobby
sent
Knight.
to you by gods. This is sent to you by engineers and nerds like me who know you're going to watch it.
It was Netflix reading the text that I sent you immediately after watching, saying, yo, you got to watch this.
Or the gods, Larry Bird, Bobby Knight, Reggie Miller, Austin Crozier, the gods of Indiana basketball. Okay?
Well, the good thing about those nights is about those gods of Indiana basketball is only one of them has choked a player. So
exactly,
it's pretty godly behavior.
And only one of them has launched a chair across a gym full of kids playing basketball.
Exactly. Same
only
one though. Same guy.
Only one of them grabbed his throat and grabbed his balls at the same time, and did that towards a celebrity.
I remember when that happened, and all I remember specifically, because there wasn't a lot of footage about the event, which I found surprising because it's a televised game, so obviously there's cameras everywhere. I remember at night there was a lot of stories about, like, that Sports Center at night. There was a lot of stories about, like, you know, fans' responsibilities and you know, fans shouldn't be getting on the court and all that stuff. And by the next morning, whenever I woke up, the narrative had changed and it became about the thug NBA player, and then of course we saw the institution of the dress code in the NBA. A much tamer image was put forward that was supposed to be safer for the players. The players involved, safer for the fans and more digestible for fans. The other side of this is that the players involved, I only found this out by watching this documentary. They couldn't talk about what happened because of all the lawsuits. They couldn't. So while everyone is calling them thugs, and it was super uncomfortable to hear the language, because again, it happened in 2004. It's a few years ago. We're watching this, and I don't know about you, but I felt like the language was really uncomfortable. Like nobody would talk about other humans the way they talked about them.
When they showed like snippets of news anchors just like talking about them, and how they filled the sentence with different anchors, and how they were all kind of on the same page, talking about how despicable these athletes were, how they were thugs, and the NBA
undeserving millionaires, and
NBA needs to send a message, a clear message. Like, listen, should they have ran into the stands and beat up people? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Were they antagonized? Were they pushed around? But to do that, absolutely they were. So, like, listen, I'm not defending them running into the stands. They got their suspensions and whatever. At the end of the day, my main issue with the whole thing, and I don't even know this, was that there was no, like, arbitration. There was no meeting about it. It was just David Stern's like, fuck everybody. This is what I'm going to do. And Jermaine O'Neal's career, your career's over.
And this is after 9/11, right? This is like the world should be on high alert. That was a life-changing moment for the entire world, right? And there's three police officers at the game. That's the security for the game. Really, I couldn't believe that.
For a game where we know what it meant, right? I mean, going into that game, like even they showed it in the documentary, the hype around that game, because that was the Eastern Conference Final. The winner of that was potentially going to win the championship that year. So,
and I remember Metta World Peace hitting Rip Hamilton in the face for no reason.
Yeah,
I remember how that game ended.
Yeah, exactly. So you knew there was already some tension there. For them to send only 3 cops is crazy to me. And in Detroit's not like Detroit's known. The fans are known to be a little on the loose end. You know, they're a little crazy. They got a couple screws loose.
I'm gonna put you in the position of one person in this documentary. It's not Reggie Miller as much as you'd love it to be him.
Well, I mean, how can I be him? He's the best player of all time. I'm not even close.
It's not Jermaine O'Neal, who again,
second best player of all time.
You know, great player and all that. The guy whose shoes I want to put you in is the guy in the Detroit Pistons jersey who gets onto the court and decides it's gonna so how quickly does he realize, fighting Ron Artest is a really bad idea?
It kind of looks like he stumbles onto the court and then looks up and sees Ron Artest and he's like, all right, we're gonna do it now. And then Ron Artest is like, yep, I'm dying.
Because the size of not just height, but just the frame and like the muscularity of Metta World Peace in his prime, right? Against the guy who looks like us.
Worse than us.
Yeah.
And the worst part is that guy got carried out in a stretcher. All he did was just get punched in the face. He got carried out in a stretcher as if his neck was broken. They were going to milk everybody. They handled that situation poorly. And I didn't know the ins and outs of it. I don't think anybody did really until this documentary came out. And, you know, good on them for exposing what happened. I think what David Stern, I was always a David Stern kind of supporter. I mean, I felt like what he did for the NBA was good.
Oh, he took from a league that was on tape delay in the finals to being the multinational game it is now, where the NBA is huge in China. The NBA is huge in basketball's always been big in Europe, but we're seeing the influx of European players, and the thing that people said about about European players in the past, that's no longer a narrative because of how good these guys are, because their dreams now are to play in the NBA in a way it wasn't necessarily the case back in the day. So what he did was absolutely excellent. That doesn't mean that he's free of blame. And David Stern was the opposite of Adam Silver in a lot of ways. He did run a league with an iron fist, right? So that was kind of his thing. But anyway, that's the documentary.
When you're in the league, when you're a commissioner of a league, you can't make the decision. There should have been like an appeal against David Stern for making that decision on his own. But anyway, it is what it is. It was a great documentary. If you have a chance to go watch it, it'll give you, it'll make you believe that Reggie Miller is the best player of all time.
I moved him up 3 spots.
Yeah.
In my all-time grades. So there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
He didn't even play that game, so that's how good he is.
Hey, if he plays, does that even happen? Who knows?
I don't think
Probably. So that's it, Terry. I'm glad you watched. I'm glad we were able to have a talk about it because again, getting to watch it with Montreal's foremost Pacers fan, that's pretty awesome. I'm going to talk about it with you. But let's get to the news.
Terry, it's the news. No, but seriously, now you're gonna hear it again.
Terry is the news. Sorry about that. I had to. We have a visitor at the studio, and I had to let him by me, so I was away from the mic. That was the beautiful face of Mo Khan, in case you didn't notice.
Mo Khan is he's there. Is he teaching how to tie a bow tie?
He's not, but I'm now that I know Mo knows how to tie one, which we're gonna learn later in an interview with Marco Brouillette. I'll use that service whenever I need a bow tie tied, because I can't do it. I can't do it myself. Terry, so the Deshaun Watson case continues to get murky. The accusers were offended by a lot of the questioning, saying it was largely inappropriate. There's a lot of victim blaming. That's defense lawyers 101 is to try and make it appear as though the accusers are not above reproach. Are you surprised that he's not on the commissioner's special exempt list? That with now 10 criminal complaints against him, he's not on the commissioner's exempt list, and it looks to be ready to start the season.
What do you mean he's not? Wait, the commissioner exempt list is what? It's for him not to play or for him to play?
So the commissioner exempt list is essentially a tool by which the commissioner can suspend a player informally while waiting for information, and then essentially, let's say he gets found out that he's not culpable, the commissioner can then give him back the funds that the league took from him and all that. You know what I mean? So it's sort of like a temporary
David Stern light.
yeah. It's Roger Goodell's David Stern light.
So in that case, I'm very surprised that he's not on the list. I mean,
well, Antonio Brown was on it, right? Like when they were investigating some stuff around him in that season, before he had said he was going to come back. Basically, they used it to pre-suspend him until he showed up and took his suspension.
Well, Antonio Brown did stupidities, and he also tried to embarrass ownership, and I think that's why he was on the list. Where Deshaun Watson is just kind of defending himself outside with the courts and his lawyers and all that shit. I'm surprised they haven't put him on yet. Honestly, I think that there's no reason to why he should be playing this year. There's no reason why he should be playing this year. So if we look at it, I'm not comfortable with Deshaun Watson with all these accusations coming out of him being able to play freely, but I don't think he should play either. Like,
I think whoever's advising him is not necessarily looking out for his best interests. It's probably an agent who profits from him earning a paycheck, right?
So who's actually going to be starting QB for the Texans? Because he was like listed as 4th string or something, right? What's his name?
Tyrod Taylor, Davis Mills.
Oh God, Tyrod Taylor is going to be starting QB.
Yeah.
Or Davis Mills.
Tyrod Taylor, he just finds himself in these situations, huh?
And then he's going to get stabbed in
He's
the
going to get his lung punctured in 4 weeks.
by Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
He just finds himself in the worst possible backup quarterback situation ever. So, he was the backup in Seattle, right? Mm-hmm. Am I right?
No, he was in Buffalo.
Buffalo, where he was a starter. Didn't BJ Manuel take his job? Did Josh Allen take his job?
No, I think you're pretty sure Josh Allen took over.
Yeah.
So he
was with the Chargers.
Buffalo. He loses his job to Josh Allen. Goes to Cleveland, loses his job to Baker Mayfield. Goes to San Diego, loses his job to Justin Herbert. Now he goes to the Texans thinking, I'm going to just collect a couple $1 million and be the backup. And now all of a sudden fucking Deshaun Watson's not going to play. And he's going to step up and has to be the guy for the worst team in the league, basically. Yeah. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, this guy is in every worst situation possible.
So off camera, Mo Khan reminded me that while there's been 10 criminal complaints, he hasn't been formally charged by the DA as of yet.
So, in
that's
that
why.
case, he's free to play as much as he wants
Yeah.
until it's all done.
But you would assume though that if 10 people file a criminal complaint, that he will be charged, right? Like, I can't think of a precedent.
I'm actually wondering why it's taken so long.
Money. It's
Gotta
usually
be
why
that,
these
right?
things take so long. Because if someone without money has this issue, they get arrested that same day. But yeah, so he has lawyers basically making this take long, essentially.
So Tyrod Taylor is listed as number 1 right now.
It's Tyrod. He corrected
Tyrod
us a couple
Taylor
years ago.
is listed as number 1. Backup, Jeff Driscoll.
Oh my God.
And then Davis Mills. Never heard of him. Probably a rookie.
Yeah.
But Tyrod Taylor is the starting quarterback on the depth chart right now. And Deshaun Watson's at number 4. So
Well, I mean, given the list of players you read, he should be the starting quarterback. Jenny Taft had an interesting reaction to Skip Bayless on his show. Skip Bayless made a comment about Mike McCarthy, your beloved Mike McCarthy, Terry.
love him.
Let's play the clip and let's see Jenny Taft's reaction. Have you seen this already, Terry?
No, I haven't.
Great, even better.
His motivational speech was the most inspiring, but criticizing his appearance, I don't know if I think that is a fair shot for Mike McCarthy. I'm going to leave it at that. Chris Broussard.
Thanks, Ginny. I appreciate that.
I don't think it is a fair shot.
Yeah, well, I don't think that's a fair shot.
Is
either.
everyone
That's my
who's a
opinion.
good coach
Yeah.
as fit as you, Skip? I don't think that's a fair shot whatsoever.
I wouldn't want. I said it was a personal preference, and I wouldn't want him to be my head coach.
That have not had the
Yeah.
Well, he is.
ideal physique, including my college coach. So I don't think that's a fair shot.
Okay.
And I'm allowed
Next.
to have an opinion,
Yep.
Skip. I am allowed to say whatever I want to say on this show, as you do too. Chris Broussard will join us and he will react to Westbrook's comment, and maybe I have more to say next.
Yes, this girl. I never heard of this girl. I never watched the show. But
I don't
fucking
either. I see the clips on Twitter because that's where I live
she's
now.
the best for doing that.
Yeah.
The best.
Yeah.
What's her
The
name?
one thing I will say is, why did her college coach have to catch a stray?
Yeah,
Like-
I don't understand.
This college coach is just at home like, oh, sweet, I'm gonna check out Jenny. Maybe grab a snack. Maybe not. Maybe thanks.
Yeah, the episode
He's taking
airs and
ricochet
immediately
shots.
his
Yeah.
phone starts going off from a bunch of media saying, "And you want to make a comment on what she said?" God damn it!
Fucking guys taking ricochet shots. What's her name, this girl?
Jenny Taft.
Jenny Taft?
Yeah.
Great.
So
She's number 1.
And so that show has a lot of just like the Stephen A. show on ESPN, has a lot of these like contrived media arguments where they never agree to a thing, right? So they have to, even if they agree in real life, they have to form an argument and debate it. But that was a legit argument. Like you could see the anger in Skip Bayless, like how dare someone come at me with this kind of thing,
Tell him he's wrong. And then she's like, I'm allowed to have my opinion on the show. Like on the show. And she's 100% right. But
She's a cast member on the show.
Yeah, it just kills the ego of fucking Skip Bayless because he thinks that everybody cares about what he thinks. Like,
Well,
that guy's a fucking doofus.
Just to put what Skip Bayless is into perspective, Skip Bayless follows 0 people on Twitter, which to me means what he's saying by saying that is
But he has,
my
like,
voice
60
is the only
burner
one that
accounts.
matters to me.
But he has like 16 burner accounts and like
That's also
proven
true, yeah.
to have
Yeah.
burner accounts. So like, yeah. And Mike McCarthy, hey, does he need to lose some pounds? Absolutely. But it's not my problem. It's
It
not
also doesn't
my
make him a
problem.
worse coach. What makes him a worse coach is his inability
Is
to
that
coach
he's
the
a shit
game.
coach.
I will say
What
that,
makes him a bad coach is that he's not a good coach.
no joke though, I was ready to make fun of Eagle last season before Dak Prescott got hurt because he had such a garbage playbook the entire time he had Aaron Rodgers as a quarterback, right? We've gone through it. Like statistically, the most ISO routes in the NFL was always the Packers. Never did anything to help out that situation with subpar talent at the skill positions. But then when he got to Dallas, it was this wide open, super fast paced offense. And like, I know they weren't winning games, but they were exciting to watch. And Dak Prescott was on pace. No joke. I read this week as I was doing research for fantasy. He was on pace to throw 7,000 yards last season.
So
That's
Dak Prescott
insane.
played like 8 games, right? What, 8 or 9
6.
games? Something like that.
6
6 games.
games.
Okay. So Dak Prescott played 6 games. In those 6 games, he broke the record for the most 450 plus yards games in an NFL season with
Yeah.
3.
I didn't
In
even know
3
that was a record. I didn't know
Yeah,
that was
so
possible.
he has the most games of 450 yards plus or plus, and that's impressive to me. So let's see what happens. I watched the first episode of Hard Knocks. You know, MRI in his shoulder now. What's gonna happen? It's gonna keep me on a fucking loop. I'm gonna be nervous before the first game, but I'm excited for the Cowboys. I really am.
I'm continuing my streak of not watching Hard Knocks.
All right, I'll tell you about it every week.
No, this is what we're gonna do. Is that when they're all done, once you've seen them all, Eagle's gonna give them an artificial title based on what the episodes were about, and then I have to guess what happens, and then you can correct me.
Perfect. You'll probably nail it every single time.
And if not, you just lie to me and tell me I did.
Yeah.
So
I'll
many
just be like,
enablers in
yeah,
my
I
life.
know.
So many enablers. Some news came out in the NBA, Terry. There was some talks about tampering, which happens all the time. The NBA is the league where there's probably the most tampering, although it doesn't. So players attracting other players isn't considered to be tampering. It's only when the organization gets involved because it's a different sort of level of responsibility. According to JJ
Can't
Redick,
stop guys from asking their friends if they want to join their team.
yeah, exactly. JJ Redick intonated that it was David Griffin of the New Orleans Pelicans, the GM of the Pelicans, which I guess it makes sense because one of the big chips of the fall was that Lonzo went on to join the Bulls. So that's kind of where that's at.
I mean, what is tampering when you're just gauging information? No? Like,
Yeah.
if as a GM, I'm not allowed to like see a guy. If I see a guy and I ask him, "Hey, any chance you would join us in the off season?" Is that illegal?
Yeah, well, I mean, theoretically, yes. You can't talk to them
So
while
if they're playing a golf game and there's a foursome, there's this guy David Griffin. He's playing with JJ Redick. In that foursome,
they wouldn't. They
two
hate
guys.
each other.
Whatever, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he's asking, and he asked Lonzo, he asked JJ Redick, I asked Lonzo Ball or whatever, I asked LeBron James to come to this team. That's considered as tampering?
Yeah, and I mean, if you remember, Magic Johnson in an interview said something about like going out to pursue Anthony Davis. This is when he was still GM of the Lakers, and he was fined, and they lost the draft pick because that's considered tampering.
I guess you have to set a line. You can't have a loose line, right? You can't have it where you can't have a loose line. You have to have it where it's black and white, and then you figure out how you're going to punish them after if you have to at that point.
Yeah, and Mo Khan off camera mentioned Steve Kerr when he was GM of the Suns as well.
Yeah.
It happens. It happens a lot, sometimes more openly than others. But tampering's boring. Let's talk about something really important. What did Travis Kelce do? He was such.
What's the Travis Kelce what?
What did he do? Like his beard, his hair was on point. Dude looked combination of handsome and menacing. That's exactly what you want as an NFL tight end. And now he looks like a 90s sitcom dad. Eagle, bring up the picture.
I gotta see this.
So that's what he looked like versus what he is
God.
now. Yeah.
He looks like his brother.
He does actually. Well, I mean, I guess it makes sense that he looks like his brother. But honestly, like, I see him and he looks like he belonged on a show on TGIF in the 90s.
He looks like he plays the retired basketball coach on a CBS show in the 90s. Absolutely.
Yeah, and he went from coaching the NBA to having to coach like a high school team.
Yeah, and he
helps them with their personal problems.
Yeah, and he was in the army, and he has his own demons, and he starts dating one of the moms on the team. Like, yeah.
But not
do we just write a sitcom? And
I'm down. And it's not even like a real. It's not even like a real demon. It's not like hard drugs or something. It's like he eats too much sugar. Because again, it would have to be family friendly for TGIF, right? So
yeah, he's like diabetic, and he can't have a Coke.
Yeah, not as opposed to taking Coke, which would be the more modern version of that show in 2021.
Hey, maybe he is. Who knows? You don't know.
That's true.
Yeah, maybe.
That's true. Before we go to the interview, who was the interview brought to us by today, Terry?
The interview is brought to you by Hot Streak Fantasy. They're in the middle of the MLB season right now. It's a great chance to make quick money. You can bet a lot more now than you were able to with the NBA. You can get up to $25. I think you can bet a little bit more than that too now. So yeah, Hot Streak Fantasy. Use Hot Sauce promo code. They'll match your initial deposit as a bonus. Go on it, man. I finally won after I was on a super cold streak, and I finally won.
I made so much money during basketball season, and I've been getting hammered in baseball. I
it's
don't want to have the
crazy,
same
man.
feel for it.
Because you're looking at it, this guy can get an out or this guy can get
Yeah.
a hit, and then all of a sudden you lose the bet. You're like, fucking shit. It's like $5, $10. Well, either way.
Yeah.
Regardless, I'm still up from my initial. I won a lot in NBA as well, so I'm still up from my initial deposit. Hot Streak Fantasy. It's available on iOS only. Hot Sauce promo code. They'll match your initial deposit as a bonus.
Remember to watch our show irresponsibly, but do gamble responsibly. Up next, we have an interview with former Alouette and current Alouette broadcaster from TSN. Joining us is Marco Brouillette. And we're back. Joining us, as promised, is Marco Brouillette. He's with TSN, or TSN is with him, so to speak. He is Alouette's broadcaster. He's a friend of the show. He's a broadcaster with Sean Gallo, another friend of the show.
Not Sean Gallo.
No,
Sean
Campbell. My mistake.
If Sean
I made them
Gallo
one
was
person.
an actual person, that'd be scary.
Terrifying. So yeah. So
Would there be
You
a
guys
Mitch
imagine?
Campbell then?
Mitch Campbell would not be successful. Sean Gallo would be super. He'd be running a network, but I think Mitch Campbell
is like
he's just
Campbell's
my
like the tech
accountant.
guy. Yeah, he's like the tech guy, Mitch Campbell.
Yeah,
And
only
he gets
short
yelled
sleeve,
at all the time.
only short sleeve shirts for
That's it.
Mitch Campbell. How's it going, Marco?
Very well. Sean Gallo sounds like a very suave name. I'm going to
Yeah.
suggest that they exchange names or combine names, as a matter of fact. And, maybe it'll create one ultimate apex predator of a radio broadcaster.
I
That'd
mean,
be awesome.
and then you add you in there. So I think it's the perfect trifecta. It'll be like a Sean Olivier Gallo.
It's a really strange menage a trois.
I'd watch it.
That's a good one, Sean Olivier Gallo. That's a good name. That guy's like he runs a hedge fund. He's just banging broads all day.
Because of your fame, Marco, when you check into a hotel, I think that's what you got to go with as your pseudonym.
Yeah.
I've been using Oliver Lake over the last couple of years. I feel like it's got a little hint of prestige,
What is it, Oliver? What?
Oliver Lake.
Oliver Lake.
Oliver Lake sounds like the
Yeah.
setting of a town in one of those Netflix documentaries where everyone gets murdered.
Yeah.
Like if you go to Oliver Lake, you're not coming back.
It also sounds like a name that you would get on a Netflix TV show, like a teeny show, like kind of like a show that like 19-year-old girls watch, and the guy's name is Oliver Lake on the show. Like that's what it sounds.
It also sounds like you're hung like a horse and you're in the quote unquote movie business.
I mean, it could sound like that too. So what have you been up to, Marco? How was the game last week? The Owls, they got it done. They get the first win.
I was quite impressed. I really didn't know what to expect, especially with them having the first week bye, no preseason games, and flying across the country to play the team that beat them in the playoffs and ended their season in 2019. And when the game started, the Alouettes got the football 2-and-out. They punt it to Edmonton. Edmonton goes on a 12-play drives it all the way down the field, has to settle for a field goal. But I have to admit, I was quite worried early on in that football game. But they did a great job turning it around and played an all-around solid football game.
Honestly, they looked fantastic, and VA looks like, honestly, I think he might win the MVP this year if he continues if he continues this path. Obviously, the schedule is going to get a little harder and all that shit, but he looks really good, man. What are you thinking of him?
I've said it often. I don't think this team is built, and nor do they need to score 40 points a game to win football games. They don't need VA to go out there and carry the whole team on his back. I think what they need is for him to play solid, smart football, protect the ball, limit turnovers, limit mistakes, make some good decisions. And that's exactly what he did in this game against Edmonton. I mean, he played a good all-around solid game. The stats weren't eye-popping. The score sheet, I think he was just over 60 or 65% completion rate, a little over 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. And that's the big number, that no interceptions. And I think, watching him throw the football, he made great decisions, threw a couple nice balls on some deep outs. I've been worried in the past about his arm strength and being able to complete those balls on that wide Canadian field. But it was an impressive outing all around by him, not only as far as what he did as a quarterback, but also how he helped manage the football game.
Marco, the Alouettes, after the game, released Alexandre Dupuis. He missed the game with an injury. How surprising is this given, he's turned 31 and coming to the season a little injured?
Yeah, it's a tough break for him. I know he had a lot of stuff going on in the off season. I think he lost his house. Him and his wife lost their condo, or his girlfriend lost their condo in a fire. Then he gets released not long after that. And it was nice that he found a home, back here in Montreal. And Danny Machocha, who was his coach at the University of Montreal, brought him in with the Alouettes. Mm-hmm. I don't exactly know what the circumstances were that led to his release. I do know that the other fullback that they do have on the roster, Christophe Normand, had a great game on special teams. I think he notched 2 or 3 special teams tackles, did some great jobs on the return units, helping Mario Alford break loose and score on that punt return touchdown. So, it's a tough break for him, but he's a solid Canadian player. It's a long season, and I expect him to land on his feet whenever another opportunity presents itself.
When you're prepping for your color commentary, are you looking for like funny bits, or do you like straight ahead? Like, are you asking guys like in-depth questions, like deep about the X's and O's? Or are you asking them like just dumb questions just to make the broadcast funny?
It's a mix of both. I like to get a bit of insight into what the game plan is going into a certain game. And it was a lot easier in the past, because in 2019, I was able to go down on the field before the game, talk to the guys, say hi to the coaches, and kind of try and pry a little bit of information from them. But unfortunately, given COVID protocols, I was unable to do that in Edmonton this past week. Now, who knows what the future holds and if I'll be able to do that at any point here in the 2021 season. But I do also enjoy doing a little background research on some of these guys, maybe digging up some little-known facts that, if there's a lull in the broadcast or we don't match up, for example, our radio commercials with the TV timeouts. I can maybe fill the air with some quirky facts about a guy. Like something I learned in prepping for this past week's game, Money Hunter, the new defensive back for the Alouettes, is actually the son of former Major League Baseball player Torrey Hunter.
Torrey Hunter, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I knew that.
Yeah, so I had no idea. I actually hung on to that one. I didn't get a chance to use it on the broadcast last week, but if the opportunity comes up, I'll make sure to share it this coming Friday night.
So breaking news. Now we know. Working here on our network first.
I mean, you spoiled it. You can't do it now.
We're gonna run this everywhere now.
We're just gonna clip this part and just like overload the internet with it.
Fair enough. I dug my own grave. Now I got to live with it.
So Marco, Eagle has a question. I'll let him go because then my question's really stupid.
Mine's kind of related to the whole COVID protocol you mentioned and everything. Obviously, the CFL, this is their first attempt at this. They didn't really have a season last year. What's that kind of like at the field? And obviously in the NFL, we've heard a lot about the whole vaccine requirement. There's kind of something similar in the CFL. What are you hearing in terms of the players and the staff about the protocols that are in place?
Well, just after this weekend's set of games, the CFL released their policy and made some changes as far as what the guys can do if a certain percentage of the football team is vaccinated. Things like going out for dinner together when they're on the road. A lot of guys for the first 2 weeks of the season were stuck in their hotel rooms, not being able to go to restaurants, running the risk of being fined if that were the case. So, I think it's the CFL kind of dangling a carrot in front of these guys to say, hey, listen, let's do our part like everyone else, regardless of what your views are on the vaccine. There are mixed views, and everybody's entitled to their own opinion. And it'll be, at the end of the day, it'll be up to every individual to decide what they want to do. But I must say that it was nice to see some fans in the stadium in Edmonton this past week. I'm not exactly sure what the attendance number was for that game, but there were a fair amount of fans in the stands. A lot of them masked, a lot of them unmasked. Alberta's got some different rules in place right now, which actually caught me off guard. I was standing in the doorway of a restaurant to pick up some food, and a guy walked right past me without a mask on while I was putting my mask on. So it took a little bit of getting used to while I was there, but at the end of the day, football is football, and the product and the play and what we saw on the field was just like it was in the last time we played in 2019.
Are the Owls allowing fans in the stadium?
From what I heard, there will be probably somewhere between 13 to 15,000 fans allowed for their home opener against Hamilton in a little less than 2 weeks here. Now, obviously, anything can happen between now and then. Francois Legault has been touting the vaccine passports and some announcements coming in early September. So I don't quite know what to expect, but I'm hoping that we are able to have some fans and get that place rocking.
I mean, it's outdoors. Like, I get if it was indoor, but it's outdoors. Like, we can figure it out, man. You know what I mean? Like,
for me, it's not even the outdoors. It's how is the CFL going to survive with so little revenue if they're not going to have fans, right? You can't sell your hot dogs, you can't sell your beers, you can't sell any of that stuff. So that for me is the real risk here.
Yeah, the gate matters more in a league like the CFL than it does, let's say, the NFL or even the NCAA to an extent.
Well, absolutely. It's a gate-driven league, and it's tough because you're dealing with football teams in different provinces that have their own protocols and guidelines. You have teams and stadiums that also have their own subset of protocols. For example, you look at Winnipeg, who are only allowing fans in the stadium if they had proof of vaccination. MLSE just came out with the release today, said that for Argos games and any other sporting events, they won't be allowing people in the stadium unless they have proof of vaccination or a negative COVID test. And then on the flip side of that, you have the Saskatchewan Roughriders, who during this past week's game with the Hamilton Tiger Cats had a sold-out crowd and almost sold out the week before as well. But now there's news coming out that following the first game, they were able to trace 6 new cases of COVID back to that one football game. So it's, at the end of the day, I think everyone's just trying to do their best, and fans and people in general should have the liberty to decide what they want to do. I mean, nobody's forcing you to go to a football game, but if you're comfortable with it, and you've assessed the risks, and you're entitled to make the decision that you want.
Marco, so the CFL season's begun. The NFL season is right around the corner. Fans like myself, Terry, Eagle, we all do things that we do to get ready for the season. And I wanted to compare and contrast with what you did as a player to get ready to start a season.
Yeah.
So one thing is, I make sure that I have enough meat to smoke, enough beer to drink, and I need to be in a coma exactly for 6 p.m. so that I can wake up to catch a night game and not fall asleep during a night game. That's a big deal for me. The right balance of too much food and way too much alcohol.
Well, I always try and make sure I have a beer or two the night before. I did it as a player. I've been doing it since I've been in the booth as well. And unfortunately, like I mentioned, this year we don't have access to the field before the games, but I always like to go out before a game and just talk to the guys, just bullshit with guys from the other team, ask them what's going on, how their families are doing, things like that, just kind of keep it light, and then eventually slowly build my way up to game time and get in that flow state and get in that right headspace to get ready to go out there and put my face in the fan.
So, Marco, I just sent you a picture, okay? And I need you to tell me exactly what you think, what you think Peeze looks like in this outfit, okay? So, if you can check your phone for me, please. I need you to break down his outfit and tell me by looking at him, what's his profession? You're a well-dressed guy, as you can see in the picture we posted. You know, you're always looking pretty spack with your pocket thing that comes out there.
Pocket square is what it's called.
Pocket square, yeah. But Marco's isn't a square. It's like he just tucks in the tip and then it just comes out like a flower.
But they're
that's
called
just-
pocket squares.
It's still a pocket square.
Still a pocket. It's a pocket mangled square. So tell me what profession Peeze does based on his outfit.
Peeze works at the Royal Bank. He has not quite yet made his way to teller. He's one of those greeting people, so he speaks to the people in line and he says, "Hey, what are you here for? Do you need a teller? Okay, stay in this line. Do you need to speak to a mortgage professional? Oh, come over here and
There's
wait
fresh
in this
coffee
line."
at the front. Let them know.
I think that's where he's at with that outfit.
Yeah.
So it looks different on camera than it does in person. Just for some reason, the way the colors look on camera. And when I saw myself on screen, I was like, "My God, I look like a goddamn televangelist." Can I get an amen? Can I get an amen?
Here's a couple of comments I have for you. Now we're going real light with this suit, and we're light with the tie as well. I'd preferably go with a dark tie with a light suit, but if you're going to stick with the light tie, just go with a crisp white shirt, not that light blue. I think you could get away with that look with a white shirt. If not, you got to go with a darker tie, my man. As far as the collar's concerned, I think you're more of a cutaway collar kind of guy, more of a spread.
Yeah,
and we can definitely go with a better tie knot there. A little thicker tie, a better knot. I can come by. I could teach you a couple of different knots.
Well, I went half Windsor.
Around.
I went half Windsor because it's like a raw silk tie, so it already gets kind of fat up top. So, but you're saying full Windsor because of the cutaway.
Well, you know what that tells me, the half Windsor?
What?
It tells me you like the half-ass shit, and I don't like that.
Yeah.
I
do love half-assing shit, to be honest.
I do.
Oh, if you think he's half-assing shit, then I don't even want to know what you think of Terry's outfit. Because my God.
Just regular T-shirt. Marco, can I say the bow tie story that we both know?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so Marco's first wedding. Okay, I'm not gonna say who it is, but there was a person in the wedding party that ridiculed Marco for not knowing how to tie a bow tie.
Nobody fucking does.
Who knows how to tie a bow tie?
No, it's a bullshit tie.
I know.
So
you clip the little thing on the back.
Oh my God.
Exactly. So Marco didn't have a clip-on for his wedding, for his first wedding.
You shouldn't. You should never.
Yeah. He had like a regular thing, but he didn't know how to do it. So this person in the wedding party is like, "I can't believe you don't know how to do it," and ridiculed Marco in front of all of us that he didn't know how to tie a bow tie. Little did we know, 10 minutes later, we look to the left of us and we see him, the same person across the street at like a clothing store, and there's a guy tying his bow tie for him.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
I had a situation where
none of us know how to tie a bow tie.
No, I still don't.
I do.
You learned finally? When my wife first moved to Montreal, back when we were first dating, she threw a surprise birthday party for me. But like I knew that I was going to meet up with her, but we were supposed to go out like to dinner. But it was like a casino night thing, so she wanted me to wear a bow tie. I then spent about 3.5 hours on several YouTube videos, and like the last step just always looked like magic to me, like where it just went from like the things that the clown pulls out of his sleeve to becoming a knot, and I couldn't get from A to B, and so I just eventually didn't do it. And then she's like, "But then also, why did you also show up 2 hours late?" I'm like, "Because I actually legitimately tried."
Because I actually tried to do this for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Mo Khan
Um,
knows how to tie a bow tie, actually.
Who?
Mo Khan, he can't tie his own shoelaces, but knows how to tie a bow tie.
There we
Weird.
go. You learned a thing. You learned a
Yeah.
thing.
You learned a thing.
What are the expectations, the realistic expectations for the Alouettes as we've been waiting over 600 days for their return to the field?
You know, from what I've seen early on in the teams in the East, you know, Hamilton has not looked great. Ottawa stole one in Edmonton, but also had a very anemic offense. And Toronto's loaded with some big-name guys on their roster, but, I mean, they've got questions at quarterback. You know, is it going to be McLeod, Bethel Thompson? Is it going to be Nick Arbuckle? I don't know. So I think the Alouettes are well-placed to make a run at that number one spot in the East and get that first-round bye. But, you know, if they can keep up the level of play that I saw in Edmonton, I would expect this team to go anywhere between, you know, 10-4 or 9-5 over the course of this shortened 14-game season.
Well, I have a future on them winning the Grey Cup, so hopefully that pans out.
Well, you know, if you've got some money to spend, it may have changed since this morning when I looked at it, but the Owls were 3-point underdogs going into Calgary, and that's with Bo Levi Mitchell being put on the 6-game injured list with a fracture in his leg. So you've got young Canadian Michael O'Connor, the former Penn State Nittany Lion and UBC Thunderbird, had a cup of tea as well in Toronto with the Argos, but it's expected that he'll be getting his first start of his career on Friday night. So I don't know if the line has moved since the news broke, but I think that's a great value pick at +3 for the Alouettes.
This is okay. All right, Friday we said, okay. There's no line out yet on this website. I'll get it for you, but yeah, appreciate it, man. Appreciate the inside info.
Thank you,
All right,
Marco.
boy.
Thank you, Marco, for your time. Thanks for joining us. Do check him out on TSN. He does the broadcast, of course, like we said, for the Montreal Alouettes. And now, look, Eagle, I know you're staring at me. I'm not going to say the name because I'm terrified. I'm going to once again say Sean Gallo.
It's close enough.
He does it with Sean Campbell. Two of them are friends of the show. Great dudes, the two of them. We love having them around. Thank you so much, Marco, for joining us.
Thanks, boys. Always a pleasure, and looking forward to being back sometime soon here to chat some more Cincinnati bow ties and CFL football.
And we're back.
Yeah, we totally recorded all those things in sequence.
You're still a pastor, though.
I'm still a televangelist. Absolutely.
You boys ready for rapid fire?
Absolutely.
All right, let's start with our first one. Mr. Brightside. Mike Zimmer has had a lot of criticisms about his team in their first preseason game of the year, but did find a way to end answering this question on a positive note.
Early on, but there were some good things that you saw at the end of the half. What did you tell your guys?
I told them it was a very poor performance. We're going to scrimmage next week with this same bunch because we didn't tackle well, that we made the wrong checks on defense with the safeties. We throw an interception for a touchdown. Go 3 and out the first 2 series. Terrible punts. So other than that, it's been great.
Coach, with only 2.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. I saw this actually live like after the game. Or after, I think it was halftime. I don't remember at this point, but I remember watching it. I was like, I need to find this clip on Twitter because it's genius. It's like looking around at what's happening right now and saying like, yeah, you know, there's a pandemic, there's floods, there's a fire tornado, which apparently exists out in British Columbia. But other than that, things are going okay. Things are all right.
Yeah. We're good. My taxes are done. I filed my taxes. So
I haven't.
good.
I need to do that. God damn it. Eagle.
We're August. You should have done it a long time ago.
They owe me money. It's okay.
Okay.
All right. A royal vessel. Tampa Bay Lightning winger Matthew Joseph celebrated his Stanley Cup victory by eating poutine right out of the cup.
That is, and first of all, I want to know where the pooter comes from because the sauce looks unbelievable.
Yeah, it looks incredible.
It actually looks like a legit poutski. Like, he's from Laval, so I'm thinking like Chez Girard. You know, I don't know, maybe La Belle Province. Like the cheese curds look La Belle Province-ish. But I think it looks like a Chez Girard. I'd be curious to know where it's from.
I will say I walked by I walked by a La Belle Province this weekend, and I walked by with my wife, and I turned to her and I said, you know what, that gravy has a very distinctive smell. It's delicious. I don't care that it's like a dirty poutine, whatever. It's great. I love it. I saw that, Terry, and I had a question. It brought up a question, and it made me question who I am as a person. Because despite looking like a religious and moral fellow, I was like, I would never eat anything out of the cup because, I know what a lot of guys would be doing to that cup.
They wash it every time they give it to someone else.
Yeah, but just knowing what was in there. And the thing is, here's the thing. Does that mean that the people who think that are automatically the people who would absolutely masturbate in the Stanley Cup?
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah. Like the people who think that whatever was done to the Stanley Cup is too much would probably do the thing that is too much to the Stanley Cup.
So that's a me thing, right? Like I'm the problem here.
Yeah.
I'm just not a good enough person.
Yeah, like I would drink out of it. Actually, we know somebody who drank out of it.
It's true, actually.
With us.
Steve Sandler,
drank out of the
cup.
He was at Alex Killorn's party, and he drank out of the cup with him.
Yeah, I saw that. I hope he's not very sick.
All right. Next, Mr. Blindside. The Jacksonville Jaguars have announced that they have cut Tim Tebow. Well, actually, Tim Tebow announced that he has been cut, but same thing.
Yeah, that's the funny thing about this.
Well, that's one of the funny things. Here's the other funny thing. When you watch film, you see why he's been cut. So watch Tebow here. He's the tight end on this play, kind of acting like a fullback. Watch this block.
Well, block is being kind.
I mean, listen. Did the guy get there?
No, but if you're playing in an actual game with real people, Tebow's getting lit up here, and this is like a 1 yard gain, not even.
Honestly, the actual play isn't even close to being as funny as Tim Tebow releasing the fact that he got released. That's the part that makes me die of laughter with this.
The funniest thing I saw about the block was a tweet that accompanied it saying, "Tim Tebow out here looking like the green turtle shell in Mario Kart." I thought that was hilarious. But
I know exactly.
But what's the expectation, right? Like he's 33, he's never played the position before. There was a theory out there.
Why did they sign him to begin with?
I don't understand because the jersey sales thing doesn't even make sense because the Jaguars don't get the direct sales; they get a portion, but it all goes through rev share because they only get direct money if it's jerseys bought at the stadium. So the jerseys thing doesn't make sense. There's another theory out there that Urban Meyer was trying to get Tim Tebow to his pension because he needed like 8 games to get to his pension. But like Tim Tebow doesn't need NFL pension. Like he's okay
but Tim
for
Tebow
money.
also seems like the guy who would look for a way to get more money. Like even though he doesn't need it, he looks like a stingy enough guy where he's like, hey, I want to go get that extra pension money, from the NFL. They owe me.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know, but he's done so well for himself, both in broadcasting and in the NFL, right? So
yeah, for sure.
It is surprising.
Next, dodging accusations. A report has surfaced in the Washington Post that Dodgers pitcher Trevor Bauer had another protective order placed against him last year from an Ohio woman who claims that Bauer punched and choked her without consent during a sexual encounter. Bauer has gone to Instagram to rebuke these claims. He is still suspended, unable to play.
He's on administrative leave.
Exactly. He's on the David Stein list again. David Stern list.
David Stern.
The commissioner's exempt list.
Yeah, it's not. It's actually the team itself. The team itself that put him on that leave. He So here's the thing. Again, guilty, innocent until proven guilty, and all that, and we're gonna get all the information as it comes out. The two situations seem eerily similar, and this isn't a person who's coming out with it's not someone coming out on social media and saying this. This is reported by the Washington Post, which is vetted, and it's from a police report, right? So, whether or not that even happened, we don't know. We weren't in the room, obviously, but these two circumstances have very similar situations. Like we talked about, Terry, last time, the source that I have in Major League Baseball believes that he will not play again because of the severity of these claims, and that if this does get investigated more information is going to come out, and that's why we're starting to see some of this information.
Honestly, if he wants to save his career, he should basically look into settling out of court because it does not look good for him at all.
Yeah.
Does not look good for him at all. And, hopefully these girls, if there's more, you know what I mean? Like it seems like that's how it starts when it's like tattoos. 1 leads to 2, 2 leads to 20, right? So if he's done this once, twice, he's probably done it more. So.
All right.
Let's hope that
Mr.
everybody's
Blunderside, after turning down a 4-year, $84 million deal with the Lakers, Dennis Schroeder has signed a 1-year deal worth $5.9 million instead.
You got scared of MLE?
Yes.
It's a mid-level exception. We talked about it last week on the show.
I don't know what that means.
I'm surprised you got Dennis Schroeder's name right, though. I put that story in there because I knew you were going to get the name wrong, and you got it right.
Hard. You say it the way it's written.
That's true. That's true.
Exactly. So I was trying to explain to my girlfriend why she read a headline, why he took $5.9 million and not $84 million. I said because his agent is probably the worst agent in the world and thought that every team was going to be offering him $84 to $90 million a year.
He wanted 100. He wanted 100 from the Lakers.
Yeah. But I love how he accepted 5.9.
Well, because he had nothing else.
That's crazy.
So to me, the difference is surprising. I didn't think he was going to get 100 from the Lakers. I thought it was going to cost him some money. I thought he'd probably end up signing for about $60 million. I did not expect him to be a mid-level exception. He actually wanted to sign. Remember last week we talked about the difference between sort of the hard cap, mid-level exception, and the soft cap. So like, if
we
your
actually
team
didn't talk about MLE, we only talk about Super Max and Max. MLE, I don't know what that is.
It's a mid-level exception.
Yes, what does that mean?
So basically, you can sign a player, and that fits that category, and that is money that doesn't really count against your cap. Every team gets a slot for MLE, and it needs to be a player who's played X amount of time. Dennis Schroeder qualifies for that. There's 2 types. So if the team is in luxury tax, they can pay the higher end one, which is like $9.4 million. So he wanted that from the Celtics. The Celtics said, no, we don't want to like restrict ourselves to not going over the cap. So we're going to give you the $5.9 million MLE. So he bet on himself, lost for now. He's a really good player, though. Like, that's the thing is...
He is. That's why I'm surprised he didn't get $100 million.
This would suggest that he's not one of the top 30 point guards in the league, which is not true. Like, he is.
Speaking of $100 million, did you hear the news about Chris Davis from the Baltimore Orioles?
They're paying him till 2037.
Yeah, so he's the new Bobby Bonilla.
Yeah, baseball. I'm happy. I'm so happy the MLB will always give us a new Bobby Bonilla for the rest of the time.
So Bobby Bonilla is paid until 2035. Is that what it is? And now this guy's 2023 until 2037.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get an additional 2 years. Hopefully, there's another guy out there.
There's gotta be.
Who's the next Bobby Bonilla?
We gotta see who the next one's gonna be. It'll be fun.
And last one of the day, kind of bittersweet here. Toxic. After a long-standing social media campaign, a documentary, and several legal battles, Jamie Spears has decided to step down as conservator of Britney Spears' estate. Hashtag free Britney worked, boys. We did it. The internet did it.
Also, the worst part about him, Jamie Spears, is that he came out and saying, I'm doing this for my daughter. I'm stepping down for my daughter. What did you do for your daughter for the last 30 years when you fucking controlled all her money in her entire life? You fucking low life.
So the thing
low life.
The hardest thing is that she likely can never get out of conservatorship because the way conservatorship works is that it's an acknowledgement that you're not of sound mind to control your own affairs, right?
So you shouldn't be working.
So but the thing is that the court would then have to decide that she is in right mind to be able to ask to remove conservatorship, which would contradict the initial ruling, which makes it complicated. So this could have only happened by him stepping down. Clearly enough pressure was put on him to do so. And look, you know what? You're not going to be profiting off of her career anymore. So I have one thing left to say to Jamie Spears. Work, bitch.
Or hit me, baby, one more time.
That too.
Okay, there, Trevor.
Which now that you think about it,
Jesus.
a 16-year-old adolescent should not be singing that song to millions.
Yeah, that was the creepiest part of that documentary. Again, we ourselves were 16-ish when that happened, so we didn't know.
That was a great music video back then.
It wouldn't be now. Terry, thank you for joining me today. Thank you, Mokan, for the off-camera commentary and help. You should be here all the time. You're a much better producer than Eagle is, by the way.
Better than John factually, honestly.
Yeah, better than
you
John
actually know
factually.
sports.
Yeah. Thank you, Eagle, for all the work you've done. And a special thank you to Marc Brouillette for joining the show. But most of all, thank you all for letting me be myself. You've been listening to Hot Sauce Sports.